Now, we'll start off with Nigeria losing about 891 billion naira to gas flaring in 18 months, and that's according to data from the Nigerian Oil Spill Monitor, an arm of the Nigerian Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency. Now, this information was released early on Sunday. The data reveals that Nigeria lost a total of 707 billion naira just last year and 184 billion naira in the first half of this year, totaling 891 billion naira. According to the NOSDRA report, oil and gas companies operating in the country flared a total of 126 billion standard cubic feet of gas in the first half of this year alone, leading to a loss of $441.2 million, which is an equivalent of 183.54 billion naira in the 6-month period. On the other hand, in the year 2021, about 23,862 barrels of oil were spilled. And in this next report, foreign investors' participation in the nation's investment market saw a modest recovery in the first half of this year, with proportionate increase in inflows from global investors. The latest report on foreign portfolio investment obtained over the weekend shows that total transactions by foreign portfolio investors during the first half of the year rose by 9.7% to hit 243.48 billion naira, compared with the 221.96 billion naira recorded in the first half of last year. The report also indicates that foreign inflows rose from 105.24 billion naira in the first half of last year to 120.51 billion naira in the first half of this year. Foreign outflows, however, also increased from 116.72 billion naira to hit 122.97 billion naira. Now, proportionate analysis may well indicate faster growth in inflows than outflows, despite the fact that the base figures were almost within the same range. And away from that report, in its quest to avert boat accidents across the country, the National Inland Waterways Authority has begun mass sensitization of the traveling public through electronic media. The agency's managing director, George Mogalu, made the disclosure during a parley with maritime media in Lagos, where he says that in order to ensure safety measures and standards for inland waterways operations, steps have been taken to sensitize riverine communities on the use of standard life jackets while night travel and overcrowded boats are banned. He observes that 90% of boat mishaps always occur at night and early in the morning, promising that spirited efforts are being made to ensure total stoppage of traveling at such times. He also says that some boat operators don't use approved jetties, saying that some jetties have also been shut down for not meeting up with the required standard.
We have done everything to stop it. We have banned vessels moving from any jetty in Nigeria once it is 7 p.m. And you cannot take off from any jetty once it is not 6 a.m. in the morning. But people will now take their boats and look for a shoreline, any bank of river, and put their boat and sail. At times they don't carry life jackets. At times they wear expired life jackets. They don't even know that life jackets expire. And we keep doing sensitization programs, we keep going around, we keep educating them. The other day I went to Badagry. What did I go to do? I went there to open a workshop where we were training 450 boat operators. We are relicensing them. We keep retraining them. We insist that you renew your license, just like you renew your vehicle license. Every life is important. Every life is important. And we cannot, as an organization, be comfortable to watch people die.
And that was George Mogalu speaking there. He's the Managing Director of the National Inland Waterways Authority. Now, moving on to the international front, Asian share markets were subdued today and the dollar held firm after a stunning U.S. payrolls report pushed back against talk of recession, but also bolstered a case for more supersized rate hikes. Markets quickly moved to price around a 70% chance the Federal Reserve will lift rates by 75 basis points come next month, sending 2-year yields up 20 basis points on Friday and further inverting the curve. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan dipped 0.5% after 3 sessions of gains. Japan's Nikkei edged up 0.3% and South Korea's Kospi went flat. Chinese blue chips also eased 0.2%, as we also see the Euro Stock 50 futures faring much better and added about 0.5%, while London's FTSE futures also rose 0.3%. And now, Ukraine's creditors voted this week on a government proposal to defer payment on the war-torn country's international bonds for 24 months as Kyiv hopes to swerve a $20 billion messy default. Bondholders have until 5 p.m. New York time, which is about 2100 GMT on Tuesday, to decide whether to back or vote down the proposal by Ukraine's government, which faces a $5 billion monthly financing gap and liquidity pressure following Russia's invasion on the 24th of February this year. The country has a $1 billion bond maturing on the 1st of next month, and creditors will likely wait until relatively close to the deadline to vote. Well, that's according to a person familiar with Ukraine's thinking, and investors are expected to support the debt standstill. When announcing its proposal, Ukraine's finance minister Sergei Marchenko also said that it had explicit indications of support from some of the world's biggest investment firms, including BlackRock, Fidelity, Amir Capital, and Gemstock. And I'll bring in some of the news also making the headlines in Japan. It is also intended to keep a stake in the Sakhalin-1 oil and gas project in Russia. That's according to the industry minister Koichi Hagunda, who also announced this today after Russia temporarily banned Western investors from selling shares in key energy projects. The project contributed to diversifying Japan's energy supply, and Sakhalin-1 is a valuable non-Middle East source for Japan, which depends on the Middle East for 90% of its crude oil imports. Russia has banned investors from unfriendly countries from selling shares in banks and key energy projects, including Sakhalin-1, until the end of the year, stepping up pressure in a sanctioned standoff with the West. Sakhalin Oil and Gas Development, a Japanese consortium, owns about 30% of Sakhalin-1. And wrapping up business news at this hour, oil prices on the international market bounced higher from multi-month lows today as investors' appetite improved following data on U.S. jobs and Chinese exports data that eased recession concerns. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude recorded a price surge of 0.8% to hit $89.72 per barrel. Brent crude now sells at about $95.67 per barrel, registering an upward price margin of 0.79%. Bonnie Light's performance trading pattern is still in the static red zone territory at $118.10 per barrel, with a price drop of 3.25%. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $101.20 per barrel, recording a dip in price of 2.86%.